This is great to see. Wondering maybe if we've got anyone that would help me with the pledge. Wonderful. Yes.
Okay, so if you'll help with the pledge, if you'll stand, and we have our SCA who's going to lead us. And your flag is right there. All right.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Okay, first up we have our consent agenda. You've had an opportunity to review minutes from our January general meeting as well as work sessions. If there's no changes to be discussed, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from all three meetings?
So moved.
I have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed, the motion carries. Next up, we have recognitions. Dr. Frey.
Good evening, board members and all of our guests. It is always good to be able to do recognitions when we have so many people in the audience. So I will start with this month, February 5th through 9th, we celebrated National School Counselor Week. Last week, the 12th through the 16th, we celebrated School Board Clerk Appreciation Week. Last week, we also celebrated Virginia Kindness Week. Last week, on the 15th, we celebrated National Resource Officer Appreciation Day. And so a special thanks to Officer Kennedy and Officer Schramm for all that they do. Last week on the 15th, we also celebrated Digital Learning Day. All month, we've been celebrating African American History Month and also National Career and Technical Education Month. During the month of February, we also recognize and celebrate our school board. And so we are grateful for the clerk of our board for all that he does to keep us together and to keep us organized. And so I want to publicly say thank you for all you do and how you help keep our division going in the right direction. And we celebrate our school board members. We celebrate our school board members for all of your work and your dedication and everything that you do to pour into the school division. We could not do this without you. Our board has truly come together and you all have provided insight and wisdom from all of areas of life in which you work and you serve. And for that, we're thankful. So thank you for everything that you all do for us here in West Point. We are grateful to have you on our school board. And so this week on social media, you will see a spotlight each day for school board members. And so we started yesterday with the chair, today with the vice chair, and the rest of the week we will have, tomorrow will be Ms. Braxton, I believe. Then we'll have Mr. Evans, and we will end on Friday with Ms. Furt. So so folks, go on Facebook and like our post, love our post. You know I'm always trying to get my likes and loves up. So please do that. And at your seats, you will see some special gifts from our central office team, as well as I believe this is from the middle school, high school. We have gifts from West Point Elementary School. And we have some guests from the elementary school that also want to say a little something to our school board members.
So our recently revitalized SCA, thanks to Miss Manley and Miss Bland who is supporting her, wanted to come out and show their appreciation for all that you do for us. So I am going to turn this over to Miss Manley, who will get her SCA together.
Yes, let's.
Good evening, school board members, Dr. Frazier, and Mr. Leach. My name is Kaylin Britt, and I am the West Point Elementary School SCA president. As you may or may not know, February is a pretty awesome month. During this month, we celebrate Black History Month, American Heart Month, Groundhog's Day, Random Acts of Kindness Week, and even National Nutella Day. Luckily for West Wayne students, we get to celebrate you as well. February is School Board Appreciation Month, and all of you are worth celebrating.
West Point Elementary SCA wants to thank all of you for everything you do for us. Thank you for the new roofs. Thank you for the computers added in special classes. Thank you for showing up to events and thank you for showing up to events we host. Most importantly, thank you for allowing our school to be a safe and loving environment. When you look at the definition of appreciation, you see that it means recognition and enjoyment of the good qualities of someone or something. We are here to appreciate you with this gift.
Thank you.
SCA wants to give you this token of appreciation, as the card says, too often in our survey, appreciation goes unnoticed. So let us start anew with this very special token. Please don't stash it in a wallet or leave it at your workstation. Pass it on to a friend or someone in act of appreciation. As on and on with travelers, giving thanks and recognition are all will become a place of art and distinction.
Thank you for everything you do.
And they actually picked this gift out for you themselves. I did not see this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That is very nice. All right. And now, one of our favorite parts on our agenda, we will have Miss Britt and Miss Ball present their RISE Awards for the month. And so we know that our award was our Student of the Month and our Staff of the Month. And now, as we work to incorporate our strategic plan in all things we do, we have now turned those awards into our RISE Awards. So really focusing on our values here in the school division. And so Ms. Britt will first recognize her student and her staff.
So our WPES Student of the Month is third grader Dwavius Jones for his outstanding work ethic. He strives to be better by asking questions, is helpful to his peers, is accountable, dependable, and goes above and beyond in completing tasks not even assigned. We recognize this student for his excellence. And then our Teacher of the Month, who just happens to be here, Miss Allen. Come on in. As a foundational educator for our youngest pointers, and Miss Allen dedicates herself to preparing our little ones for kindergarten, establishing structure and routines, and fostering social and collaborative skills among our 4-year-olds. She serves as an exemplary teacher in West Point student-centered preschool program, firmly believing in the potential of every child to reach their goals. With high expectations, Mrs. Allen lays the groundwork for kindergarten readiness, emphasizing acceptance, encouragement, and academic rigor in our interactions with students, including those in our ECSE IPOP program. We are truly appreciative of Ms. Allen's dedication to our students and her contribution to the growth of our program. The West Point Middle High School Teacher of the Month is Ms. Melody Reed, our chorus teacher. Her students described her as sweet, encouraging, nice, fun, fair, and kind. Students said that this teacher gives the best advice and encourages students to step out of their comfort zones to try something new. She creates a welcoming environment for students and has high but reachable expectations. Students say that she has a smile on her face every morning and influences her students to be kind to everyone. She's attentive to all of her students and works hard to keep the West Point spirit.
They said that she's very helpful in musical practice and is the best chorus teacher. And one student said she is a great teacher and I wouldn't trade her for the world. So we're very grateful to have Ms. Melody Rick with us. This month, the way the month fell, we actually have 4 students of the month, 2 middle school and 2 high school. So we'll start with the middle school students. Our first one is 6th grader Jasper Jones. And Jasper demonstrates excellence every day, coming to class prepared to learn and work hard. He builds relationships with his peers by showing kindness and respect. And 7th grader Mackenzie Allen. Mackenzie is described as kind and honest. She demonstrates excellent character by quickly welcoming a student looking for someone to sit with at lunch, and by speaking up when she sees something or someone who's wrong. And our high school students of the month, we had 11th grader Kimora Broadus. Kimora was actually nominated twice, which shows that she is great at building relationships with her peers and staff. Her teachers say that she is always willing to help, is kind to her peers, and is a master at making others smile. And also 11th grader Catherine Billups. Catherine is described as mature and well-rounded. She's kind to everyone, speaks to everyone she sees by name, and demonstrates excellence within the classroom.
Thank you for our students and our staff members of the month. We value everything that our students bring to the table and the things that our staff do to also help us remain pointed in the right direction. I think those are all the recognitions I have.
Thank you, Dr. Frazier. Next up for our presentation, we have an instructional presentation from the elementary school. I feel like this might be the main event tonight. This is
All
great.
the main event. So, coincidentally, I had asked last month for Miss Allen to come in and showcase our wonderful little pointers. For our instructional presentation, we have our littlest pointers in Miss Allen and Miss Gonzalez's preschool class. We know that academic development in the early years of foundation is for lifelong learners. And tonight, our 4-year-old will be sharing with you a little taste of what it's like to be in pre-K. Miss Allen, Miss Gonzalez,
And Mrs. Brown's class. Some of here from Miss Brown.
Oh, okay.
Since we co-mingle all the time. Yeah, we'll do fun. So just to give you a little bit background of preschool, we love preschool for all the little reasons, as you can see, and these are our reasons why we do this every day. So when you look at these pictures, I ask that you look at them and say, what do you see? Most people will tell me they see kids sitting on a rug, they see kids looking at a board, they see kids walking down the hall on the line. But as preschool teachers, we see students learning about months and seasons and years, time and weather. We see visual and auditory, kinesthetic, and hands-on learning. We see students being active participants in their learning and using various listening and communication skills in order to participate in activities. And we see students using gross motor and fine motor skills. You might look at these pictures and I see a kid playing with blocks, or I see a kid learning his letters, or writing on a tablet. But as preschool teachers, we see students using critical thinking skills. We see students problem solving, students being architects and engineers, students practicing their literacy skills. We see students being illustrators and authors, and we see fine motor skills being toned. This may look like an ordinary math lesson to you when you first look at it, but for us, we see students practicing those math skills. We see students building upon previous learned skills. We see differentiated instruction based on the needs of the student. We see students learning how to subtract using manipulatives, students learning how to make and continue patterns, students working together and helping each other, students problem solving, students using critical thinking skills, and students engaged in learning. These pictures show a bunch of family and some of our school board members. We see family engagement. We see memories being made, discovery and learning of new environments and new items, see imaginations being used. We see the love of learning taking place, and we see school board engagement and support. We see creativity. We see preschool students who are pointed in the right direction. But saying all this, we could not do it without the support, the dedication, and the hard work of all our school board members. So we thank you for helping us teach our children and to teach the future, because right now what you see in front of you is your future, and we hope that it goes above and beyond what we could ever imagine. So with that being said, we want to sing a little song that kind of puts all those skills into use for us.
Is it sponsorship? You got sponsorship here, right?
This is the letter A. Apple. Acorn. B. This is the letter B. Ball. C. This is the letter C. Cat. Car. D. This is the letter D. Dog. Daisy. E. This is the letter E. Eagle. F. This is the letter F. Fish. G. This is the letter G. This is the letter H. Hat. This is the letter I. This is the letter J. Juice. K. This is the letter K. Cut. This is the letter L. This is the letter M. Mouse. This is the letter N. Nickel. Nest. O. This is the letter O. Otter. P. This is the letter P. Pumpkin. Q.
before our preschool families leave, I would like to say two things. One, a few months ago, when I was in the preschool classroom, a few months ago when I was in the preschool classroom, they sang that song for me. And they have grown so much since then. And it's because of the amazing staff they have working for them. So can we clap it up for them? And then last week, I was in my office and I got a phone call from Ms. Roach. And I would like Ms. Roach to come in the room and to share with the group what was shared with her last week.
So we have an outside observation company that comes to every preschool classroom, daycare facility in the state. And they come in the fall and in the spring to both of our classrooms. And they don't do this for any other grade level, it's just preschool. And they look at a variety of things like instructional practices and social emotional skills. And our programs were observed last week. They were there for most of the morning and afternoon. And after observing our preschool programs, they had a conversation with Mrs. Allen and Mrs. Gonzalez just about the entire program and spent time telling them how wonderful our program was, how impressed they were, the interactions with the students and the instructional practices, and that ours was the best in the state that she had ever observed. Wow.
They make it easy. These faces make it easy.
Yeah, thank y'all for sharing your families with us tonight. I think it's no greater recognition for us or appreciation. We talk about appreciation tonight to see what we have here, because a few years ago we didn't have this. You know, Dr. Frazier and his team helped establish the VPI program that we have today. And so there's nothing more critical or important or foundational in catching students at a young age. And to see the I won't say little pointers, but the youngest pointers we have here tonight are just a great sign of the future of what's to come. And we could probably give a class on conduct to some of our high schools. They are well behaved. That's just tremendous. So,
With no hoods or phones. It's
no Snapchat, none of that. But thank you all. That was wonderful. We appreciate everyone. And this would be the time if you would like to leave.
Thank you so much for everything. Thank you for everything.
That was great. And now, how appropriate we segue from a.
Mrs. Palmer.
That's what I said.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So we're not finished with presentation. Okay, I wondered. I knew Ms. Farmer wasn't sitting around to hear Mr. Leach speak. Normally that's,
As I can.
and that's nothing against Mr. Leach. That's normally everyone leaves right before he speaks. That's what I thought we were finished. So Ms. Farmer is up next.
I don't know how I can follow. Okay, so hi everybody. Today at West Point Elementary School, we kicked off, sorry my voice is leaving me. We kicked off One School, One Book this year. And this year's book is called Fenway and Patty. And it is a book told from a dog's point of view. So it brings perspective into the classroom. Ms. Lulling, Ms. Masick, and I passed out books today for this exciting event. Students, teachers, administrators, cafeteria staff, bus drivers, custodians, and school board members have and will receive a copy of the book. Inside of the envelope, you will have your copy of the book, a bookmark with our reading calendar, and another reading calendar with activities on the back. Excuse me. So One School, One Book Community is a community building event program that is designed to foster a culture of reading and create a sense of community within our school. The basic idea is to select one single book that every member of the school community will read and enjoy simultaneously. Many families did contribute the $5 requested payment for the book. So between that and some parent donations and donations from our PTO, we were able to provide one book to every family in the elementary school. So we all get to read together. It was great. So thanks to their generosity. So now I get to present you with your books. I hope you read along with us. Follow the calendar. Try not to read ahead. I know it'll be hard.
Spoiler alert.
But yes,
I got my copy. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And one for Ms. Braxton. Thank you so much. We missed you, Ms. Braxton. Thank you so much for letting me present.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
We were just looking at the reading calendar before I came here tonight.
Yeah, it's a little different because it's 2 chapters a night. Usually it's just one, but they're not very long chapters. I'm sure you'll be able to get it done.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Have a
day.
good evening. All right. Now on to our reports. Correct. We have discipline review. Ms. Paul.
Ms. Paul is here by herself tonight.
Okay.
Ms. Bird was not able to be here, but she has left the data in capable hands. And so Ms. Paul will be presenting. I'm giving Ms. Paul some grace. If you have some questions, don't be too hard on her. But she will be able to present.
Ironically, we're talking about this after that statement. Okay, so
The future's bright though.
the
Based on the
future's bright.
pre-K,
Yes.
it's looking good for this.
So on this slide, we have a comparison from last school year for the first semester and this school year's first semester. So I'm going to, you can look at that part, but I will go over each of the types of infractions on the first chart, just so you know what those things could include. So the BAP, the behaviors impeding academic progress, are things like classroom disruptions, cheating, excessive tardies, those sorts of things. Kind of classroom disruption type things. BSC is behaviors of a safety concern. So those are things like possession of drugs or nicotine. Some types of bullying can be in there, bus infractions, fighting, shoving, pushing, etc. Relationship behaviors is the RB, and that could be some types of bullying, stealing, vulgar language, racial and ethnic slurs, and defiance. BESO, behaviors that endanger self or others, are things like fighting that result in injury, threatening, intimidating, instigating injury or harm. And then BSO, behavior related to school operations, are things like skipping class, failure to attend assigned disciplinary settings, cell phone violations, etc. So the largest drop in there is the first one, the behaviors impeding academic progress. And so that could be something like, we have the cell phone policy this year, so that was kind of our thinking. We had a lot of those things last year that were included in that category. Those sorts of things, cell phone violations and things like that, were a bulk of our behaviors last year in there. When we look at, before we move to the next little chart, the part at the bottom that says 5 students account for 23 ATS. So we have 5 students during the school year that account for 11 in-school suspensions and 12 out-of-school suspensions. So when we look at the chart above that 23 of those are from 5 students. So you can see the comparison between ATS last year during the first semester and this year, first semester, and same thing out of school for first semester last year and first semester this year.
Before you go on relationship behaviors, I mean, there's a lot of good news on this chart, and then there's some that is, the relationship behaviors, is there anything, what would you say in terms of what the students are learning about relationship behaviors?
What are they learning? Or
Yeah.
What
are most of those relationship behaviors?
We've had several racial and ethnic slurs. I think to be honest, I think the teachers have been very explicit in setting their expectations for students, and I think once the students kind of cross that line, and I don't know that they have been explicit in setting those expectations previously. So I think that they have been very explicit in what they're going to tolerate and what's not acceptable. And that could be, I don't know if it is, but that could be what it is.
So you said that the cell phone infractions this year are under the BSO. Is that right? The behavior related to school operations?
So that cell phone violations are under that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's under BSO.
Is there something that we're not, like, has there been any kind of, for ATS, it's a big drop, which is great. But is that because we've had a decline in those overall behaviors that we get ATS, or have we changed what we give ATS for?
I think there are both of those things, okay. Yes. So there's a big decline in the BAP.
Right.
And a lot of those behaviors kind of, I'm going to use the word minor, but kind of minor behaviors, I think those are the least of the, if we're looking at a hierarchy, right. I think that, kind of escalates as you go down. So that number is significantly smaller, and, there were tardies given, ATS was given for tardies, and that's one of the things that's not happening this year either. So that could be, I think it's both of those things.
Dr. Hauser has a comment as well as she's been working with the ed team. Go ahead.
Yes, so I was just going to say, just as a reminder, this is the first year we've actually had a middle school counselor. There was a deficit in that department in the previous few years. And so I think that having 2 counselors now working on all student, like, social emotional issues gives us like a line of defense before it becomes a discipline issue. I also think that we might have an uptick, like not an uptick in events or occurrences, but an uptick in reporting, because you have people in charge who are now very serious about discipline. So it's like, I heard you, you said it, I'm writing this up. Whereas before it was like, I'm not quite sure what might happen here, so maybe I won't write it up. So there's a lot of like new and wonderful things that the middle high school are doing. So I think it's just layers of things that could be different. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly, but we just know we're happy. We're happy to see the numbers fall in some of these categories, and we think that they'll continue to fall in others now that we have, strong policies in place, and also, 2 counselors working with prevention with the students. So I was just going to jump in and remind you about that because, we have people who are working with the students on, making sure these things don't happen again and become a discipline issue. So.
And so, not that we did not have 2 counselors in our complement.
Right.
We were not fully staffed. So last year, when our counselor resigned, the year before that, a counselor might not have been as engaged. And so we definitely are seeing some differences within our school counseling department that then do lead to changes in discipline.
Well, and it helps that we have administration that's going to enforce
Absolutely
the discipline as well, so that's obviously helpful. The BSC, you said that's the one where vaping and those sort of things would go if they had a vape, or is it the right?
Yes.
Okay. What do we know? How many of the 18 are vape pens or tobacco or any of those things? It's okay if you don't.
I would say maybe 2.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
That does not mean that there are
I
not more
know
vapes in the
I know. Trust me, I'm well aware.
And
Okay.
so I think I can say pretty confidently that we also might see a change in that as well, as we have a different person in schools and working as our school security officer, and he is noticing some things around vaping, and so we will see that more students might just be caught vaping.
And I would say for the relationship behaviors, I think the school counselors are working on.
I was just thinking, there was a statement probably behind my question, and part of that's just as I think about emotionally intelligent young people and how we have more resources for that today. And I'd love to see them all read a book about emotional intelligence, but anyway.
Practice.
Right. One school, one
One school,
high
one
school.
Yeah.
Emotional intelligence. Let's all read it.
So what are we doing differently? This year we have implemented positive office referrals, and those continue to go out. So teachers are catching students doing something good, and this bird is calling home, and then the student receives a free ice cream or cookie from the cafeteria. So those are always exciting to read. We are doing restorative conferences with students, and sometimes it is just a student, sometimes it's students and teachers, sometimes it's students and students together who may be returning from a fight or something like that. I recently sat in on one, the students had been in a fight a week before or a couple of days before, and so this board brought them in together and kind of said, okay, you all are in the same class, you need to kind of be able to coexist, you don't have to be best friends, and they shared how they felt in that moment and during the altercation in that moment, and how they felt coming back to school, and then they both shared kind of their goals for the class and what they hope to accomplish in the class itself. Like, we both need this class to get our work done, and we want to do well. And then they kind of led the rest, and they said, I'm sorry, and they shook hands on the way out. And we kind of looked at each other like, that was amazing, because they just kind of took it and ran. So that was really, really nice to see. Student planning meetings, Ms. Bird has started leading those. Sometimes we're in them, sometimes it's the school counselor leading them, and sometimes it's the teachers who are leading them. It includes the student, the parent, or the parents, the teachers, and sometimes administration. And it starts with the student, everyone kind of listing the student's strengths, and then the needs of the student. And then the last part is a plan for the students, kind of what the students will do, what the parents will do, what the teachers and school staff will do. And we have used those for behavior and academics. So those have been, we've seen a lot of success with those. And then continued work on the detention process. So that is something that has changed kind of over the past year, and it is still a work in progress. So we're working to continue to make detention a deterrent, if you will. So that continues to be a work in progress.
And you will notice that Ms. Ball stated that those restorative conferences and the student planning meetings, those things had been led by Ms. Bird. But Ms. Bird is now in the phase of modeling those things. And so the assistant principals are now sitting in and they will now help with leading and facilitating those things because we're seeing a difference. And so we're thankful that Ms. Bird has been able to bring this skill set to our team. But we now want to make sure that that's able to transcend to the other administrators in the building as well.
Yeah, one thing about those restorative conferences, I think sometimes they kind of get a bad name. But I think the way that we've implemented a lot of them this year has been, they've been coupled with some sort of disciplinary action. So that part isn't going away, but to try to repair the relationship so that they can move forward in whatever capacity that is.
Have you observed one or know of one like that was between like an adult in the building and a student in the building, and what sort of, I guess, how did that look?
I think I actually had one in my office, and the teacher kind of led it, and it was really positive to see. The teacher kind of led it and said, this is the situation, and this is what I saw, and this is what it looked like to me, and this is kind of how it made me feel. And then the student kind of said the same, this is how I felt in that moment. And then I think that it kind of went back on, my job as the adult is to make sure you're prepared for the next step. And, so they kind of made it a learning opportunity for their future, not just in their classroom. So, and, if you did that in the work setting, this is what it would look like. If you did that in this setting, this is what it would look like. And I think it was really good. And afterward, I asked the student a couple of days later, like, hey, how has it been? And it was great. It's been great. So I think those have been really successful too.
Any other questions for the poll?
Does the state, obviously the state provides data, but is there like comp data that we can index on to say how we compare to our peers? Or is it, I guess it sounds like there's fluctuation in how you categorize some things as well, so it might not be a true look, but.
I think the things that we report, right? We have to report.
Right. So the data is reported to the state, and we could pull some of the data, some of the categories from other school divisions. But you will have the situations where things may not have been coded exactly the same.
Right.
Like that just happens. I think Ms. Ball alluded to it, where some of the things that may have been coded one category that may have been included cell phone infractions last year, well, they've learned that's not where they should have been recorded, and so that's what you would see in some of that data if you were trying to compare our division to other divisions. But it's worth a look. We can look at some of that data.
Yeah, I was just curious. I think more so from what else is out there, but I think obviously like just tweaking your approach
Absolutely
can cause changes from year to year. So maybe if over time as we start to baseline some of that, it might be more beneficial.
We could look at some of that data, but when we would try to look at some of the smaller schools,
Yeah,
to
or
have
true
an
comp,
average.
right? Yeah, no compare still.
And I would assume, you can get into your territory to do that, the repeat offenders, the 5 students you mentioned, they're the ones that are probably involved in the student planning meetings, sort of conferences.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's some interventions like the student planning meetings and things like that. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And some of those students end up visiting with Mr. Leach as well. and having to look at other options if needed.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ball.
Next up, we have items under study. We have a couple of items. Dr. Frazier, is the intent here that we'll come back next month with recommendations on these two, on policy services and student fees?
I think that would be nice. Ms. Braxton did state that she wanted to have some time. She asked what was there gonna be a vote tonight on policy services? She said she wanted to take some more time to read information that was shared by the Sturts. But if we're able to make a decision by next month, I think that would be helpful, just so we don't get too behind.
I was gonna say, are we at a deficit now, or are we just?
I won't say that we're in a deficit, but we don't want to.
The longer we wait, the more you're gonna have to review it once.
Absolutely, and we know that can be a lot, not only for our staff, but also for board members. And so, we'll just want to make a decision based on the information that's been provided by VSBA and also by the other organization.
Okay. So March, I have recommendations for policy services and student fee. Mr. Leach, I'm assuming we just highlighted the changes for next year. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I can go over this quickly if you'd like me to. If there's no other questions on the policy.
Ms. Hurt, did you want to share anything else about policy?
No, I shared the quote and the information that I got from School Board Member Alliance, and previously I also said with the two groups. For the second group that I was getting a quote from, I did like a Zoom meeting with, and they do more like advocacy. They don't necessarily do policy services, or they can help us write policy, but they were like way expensive. Something that I don't think that we would need their services. They're nice, but I don't think we need their services. So, and I shared both of those names after the last meeting with everybody, so.
Yeah, so you have the copy of the student fees. At this point, there are no changes for the breakfast and lunch prices. The elementary school actually reduced the cost for a replacement planner, but they realized the recorders that all the parents love and enjoy. The price for those actually went up, so they think they can probably get it between $7 and $8. So if they can get it cheaper, then they will. But they err on the side of the high side. And then middle school, high school, the sheriff recommended adding a semester option for drivers. So currently we require a $45 parking fee for the year, but for those drivers that are getting the license now, she requested that we look at a semester option for those families and those students. We added the Chromebook to replacement repair cost. We noticed that's been happening, so we added that to the list. And then band course cleaning uniform fee rose a little bit from $20 to $30. All other fees will remain the same.
All right, so we'll come back next month with recommendations there. Next up, action items. First item, we have a motion to consider approving our expenditures and receive our revenue reports. Vice Versa, any questions? If not, do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All that oppose, motion carries. I'll slow down, just a little delay. Next up are cafeteria expenditures. Had an opportunity to review those. If no questions, do we have a motion to consider approving our cafeteria expenditures?
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All that oppose, motion carries. Next, we have our personnel recommendations. We have a motion to approve personnel as presented.
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All that oppose, motion carries. We also have some donations here. Nice to see.
We have a significant amount of donations this month.
Yeah. Dollar-wise, absolutely. No questions regarding the donations. Do we have a motion to approve as submitted?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Trace, any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All that oppose, the motion carries. Next up, we have an amendment to the superintendent's contract. We have a motion to approve the amendment to Dr. Frazier's contract.
So I move to amend the current contract for Dr. Frazier.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All that opposed, the motion carries. And we also have a motion to approve the new contract for Dr. Frazier that would be beginning on his 4-year term in July.
I move that we approve his contract commencing July 1st of this year and going through June 30th of 2028 or a 4-year contract.
4-year contract, okay. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All that opposed, the motion carries. So that means we've got Dr. Frazier for 4 more years.
That means the leadership team is stuck with me and stuck with me saying that we're pointing but like I said to the board a few weeks ago during our work session, I thank you for this opportunity to continue to serve as a superintendent, to continue with the work that we have done. I feel like with my team, we have been able to do some amazing things here at West Point, and that is what we want to continue to do. So I appreciate the confidence that this board has in me to continue that work, to serve the students and the staff of this community. So thank you.
Well, thank you. All right, next up, our calendar for 24-25. I think we had 2 drafts, right? I think what we were looking for was a spring break.
Correct.
Spring break
There's
decision.
Draft 1, Draft 2. Draft 1, the spring break is March 31st through April 4th, and Draft 2 is April 7th to the 11th. The 2 major changes, between the 2 big differences between calendars.
Draft 1 aligns with what others in the region are doing. Majority, so bridging, RCC, well, RCC would.
Yeah, it wouldn't be RCC, but a lot of other partner schools in our region, which may impact athletics and things like that.
Right, yeah, schedule and all that. All right, so do you need a motion on one of the drafts?
Right. So we would need a motion to adopt one of those drafts as our calendar for 24-25.
I move that we use draft 1 as the calendar for 24-25.
Yeah, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All that oppose, the motion carries. We got a calendar for next year, and next up, we need to accept our budget for public comment for next year.
All right. And so that is what we're doing. I'm asking the board to accept the budget for public comment. This is not approving the budget, but this is only accepting it for public comment. You can see what was included in your board packet is the proposed budget and especially that proposed revenue based on that last discussion in our work session. So that does include that the increase that we would be working with the town on, and so we're looking, that increase would be $328,784. We also know that the General Assembly came out yesterday, or Sunday. The Senate and the House both came out with their versions of the budget, and so their versions of the budget do include a compensation increase for teachers and staff. And so, and both of those do align with a 3%, a little over 3%. And so there would be some flexibility there if that is approved. There would be some flexibility for us to then have some further conversations about what that ask would be. But it is more comfortable now knowing that the General Assembly is looking at some type of teacher raise. And so once this is approved, then this would go on our website for public comment at our March meeting.
Any other questions around our proposed budget for public comment? If not, do we have a motion to accept the 24-25 budget for public comment?
So moved.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose, the motion carries. Next, information, anything, Dr. Frazier, you wanted to?
So you will see that there are several
calendars.
There are several items in your packet for information. There's one that I would like to highlight, especially since we do have a visitor in the room that I told I was not giving her time on the agenda. But Mrs. Frazier is here from the Community Connection Program, and last week before, 2 weeks ago, she presented information to the leadership team about a truancy program that the Community Connection Program will be starting. And so that truancy program, they had actually selected West Point to be the first division that they start the truancy program with. So just a little bit about the Community Connection Program. This information.
Is it a pilot program?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And so this information is, the information about the Community Connection Program is in your packet as well. But they are the program that supports the 9th District Court Service Unit. And so supporting King William, King and Queen, Middlesex, New Kent, and Charles City. And so they are starting a program, Checking and Connecting, that our schools will be able to refer students to who are having struggles with their attendance. And so through that program, they would be assigned a mentor that will help with some of the check-ins, helping to build those relationships with some of those relationships with families, and truly trying to turn student attendance around. We were selected, not because I am the superintendent, but because our footpath is smaller. And so wanting to start the program and wanting to pilot it, it made sense to start here in West Point. So we're fortunate about this partnership. And so, you know, our administrative team and our school social worker already have been working on referrals, and so we will start working with them. It is a voluntary program. We cannot force families to do it, but those families that know that attendance has been an issue, they know that they can use that additional support. And so we're fortunate to have them work with us.
That's great. That's great. Because for a lot of these families, they work, so they can't be at home when their kids are on the bus, and they're struggling. They are kind of exhausted and out of resources themselves. So this is great, really great.
As you're saying that, I'm looking right at our plan. Like, I think relationships, innovation, students, internet, all that ties to what they're trying to do here.
Absolutely.
So like, it's great to be leading on that from a pilot standpoint. But this would be multi-jurisdictional based on the court. They're just asking us to kind of kick this off, try it out. That's great. Ms. Frazier, if you need agenda time, you can contact me.
I have always bowed to whatever my son tells me. He's been the boss a lot of years.
She has her own school board meetings.
That's great.
Well, thank you, Ms. Frazier, for giving us that opportunity. Like I said, seriously, I think that's aligns with what we're trying to do, and if it helps our community and our surrounding communities, that's great.
I look forward to this partnership.
Yeah, that's great.
I know I'm speaking out of turn. We've spoken to a couple of families, and they're very excited about it too. They're really excited.
That's good.
Hired my first staff person today, Larry.
Sounds
That's awesome.
Good. Anything else, Dr. Frazier, from a information standpoint?
This is not included in the packet, but I will share this with the board. It was great to see the elementary SCA here tonight, but also last week I had the opportunity to meet with the SCA and the class officer at the middle school, high school. That was a phenomenal meeting. Just to hear student voice and student perspective. It was me, them, Miss Gay, and some snaps. And they just let me have it. They told me the good, the bad, the ugly. And we made a working list of some things that we should be looking at and some things that were some concerns for them. But they also talked about some things that they felt like were really going well. And students complimented us for the change in the cell phone policy. They said that the change in the cell phone policy has reduced drama in the building and has helped with some relationships in the building. And so they are pleased with that. They would like us to, as we look at cafeteria, as we look at renovating and making the cafeteria more modern, they would like us to include some chargers in there. So they said if that's their only time, they would like people to charge their devices.
Rapid chargers, I would think.
So I told them that's something we could look into. But just the feedback from our students, it was phenomenal. So I asked them if I could come back. They said don't come on a regular basis. Give them some time. So we talked about me coming back maybe in April. And so I'll go back and meet with them to get some additional feedback and let them know some things that we've done. So it was really good. I also plan to spend some time with the elementary SE as well.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, innovation, we try to think we've always got the answers, but I think innovation starts on the front line, and that's our front line. So I'm sure it helps for them to be heard as well. So that's great to hear.
That is all I have to share.
Okay. Delegations, Mr. Leach, do we have any delegations? We do not. No delegations. All right, future agenda items. March agenda. I guess we have our budget session, right?
So we have our future agenda items will be adopting the budget. We'll approve student fees. Ms. Roach will come with the special education plan, and next month we will have the winter athletic and extracurricular activities update.
And our policy services as well, right?
Yes, we will have that.
And we'll also have a CTE plan for studies.
Okay. All right, so that budget work session is on the 5th. Town council, and then at the high school, right? Cafeteria. Cafeteria with blinders.
Sunglasses.
Sunglasses. And then our regular board meeting will be on the 19th. All right. Anything else? If not, we are adjourned.